The new Republican majority formed a committee to investigate whether government is used as a political weapon. Joining us now is a member of the Judiciary Committee as a whole and a former state and federal prosecutor, Congressman Ken Buck from the great state of Colorado. Congressman, government is a weapon when it comes to war, when it comes to fighting crime. I mean, government's not just a weapon, it's the weapon. But government should not play favorites based on politics. Is that the gist of this new committee?
Absolutely. Government shouldn't be involved in partisan politics and promoting one side of the partisan debate over another. And that's what we see, frankly, with the FBI in recent years.
You know, Congressman, you and I served together in the interest of full disclosure. We worked together. To me, it's almost as if it began in earnest with a former FBI agent named Peter Strzok and a former FBI lawyer named Lisa Page. I mean, I do remain stunned, and it takes a lot to stun me, but I remain stunned that the FBI put people with so much political animus in charge of investigating a presidential campaign. And rather than admit that it was a terrible thing to do, they said, well, maybe he was biased, but it didn't impact his work, which is just a ridiculous standard. Where do you see the origins of using government as a weapon, as a political weapon? Where did it start for you?
Well, I think you can go back a long ways, Trey, if you want to look at FDR using the IRS to investigate his political opponents. LBJ used the CIA to gather information on Barry Goldwater, actually had a plant inside Barry Goldwater's campaign, feeding Barry Goldwater's speeches to the White House and the Democrat National Committee. So the use of government as a political tool has a long history in this country. But every time we have held hearings, we have tried to stamp it down. We have tried to do our best to make sure that we return to government being a neutral player in our partisan politics. But I agree with you. I would change one of the things that you said, though. I don't know that the FBI did it as much as James Comey, the director of the FBI, pulled it out of the Washington field office, the case that we're talking about involving President Trump. And even the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails, pulled it out of the Washington field office and put it in the headquarters so that the director could directly oversee this matter, and in so doing chose people who were definitely biased.
One of the people who worked with Jim Comey, I believe, was Jim Baker, who was counsel for the FBI and then resurfaced at Twitter. You've developed an expertise and an interest in big tech and social media. What's the standard for when Congress should get involved with the Googles and the Twitters and the Facebooks of the world?
Well, I've been on the Antitrust Subcommittee, and so obviously we're looking at competition and we're looking at a monopoly over the flow of information in this country, and whether that information has been biased and has aided one side or the other. But I think there are legitimate reasons for government to communicate with big tech. Certainly if there's a hurricane coming, or if there's a series of tornadoes or natural disasters, and other instances that government might have a legitimate reason to communicate with big tech and Twitter, Facebook, and others. What we see here, though, is really a much different animal. We see government trying to impact policy discussions that sometimes are partisan. And when you get involved in trying to suppress that kind of information, you're getting into the marketplace of ideas. You're getting outside of the area of natural disasters and other issues that government should be communicating with media.
Former state and federal prosecutor Ken Buck will be on the Judiciary Committee with access to subpoenas and investigating for the next 2 years. So we'll have you back. I'm sure there's a lot of work to be done. Congressman, we'll have you back. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night.
Thank you, Trey.